Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast, episode 980. We're 20 away from 1,000. We're going to do a countdown because some of the people that help do the back work around here always keep telling me, dude, background, we're close to 1,000. What are we going to do for 1,000? I don't know yet, but y'all will definitely know for sure. All right. A great episode today. Don't go anywhere. We're talking Ukraine. We're talking China. A lot of China news, some data breaches, some vulnerabilities, stuff you need to know about vibe coding, cursor, lovable, all of those, and so much more on today's show. So please don't go anywhere. Buckle up your seat. Here we go. For those who don't know, I fail to do this every once in a while. My name's James Azar. I'm the host of the CyberHub Podcast. I'm also a chief information security officer and cybersecurity practitioner. I do this out of the passion for the game. So without further ado, folks, join me for a tradition here on the show. If you're just tuning in at episode 980, welcome. Double espresso. Look at that phone game. Phone game is strong because it's great espresso. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. You know, Italians sometimes, when something is so good, they don't have words. They just go. Spent 3 months in Italy, and this was one of the things I learned. When something is so good, you just go like this. It's delicious. All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and kick off this morning's show. Ukraine claiming a cyber attack on the Russian election system. Moscow confirming some disruptions. The Ukrainian military intelligence agency said on Sunday it hacked Russia's Central Election Commission and other government services in response to voting in occupied Ukraine regions. The operation coincided with Russia's Unified Voting Day, when regional and local elections are held simultaneously across the country. This year, ballots were also cast in Crimea and other parts of occupied Ukraine. Kiev and its allies says those elections are illegal. But again, I love this. Anything about Putin says, Putin did a fake election in Crimea. Putin has won every election at a 92% approval rate, right? I can think of the last one was 92. Everything before that was 95 or 96. The guy kills or jails every single one who really offers real opposition to him. And Ukraine's idea of going after Russia here is a denial of service attack against their servers, saying, we've disrupted your voting. You know what this is going to do in Russia? I mean, I've studied Putin. I wrote a whole article on Putin at the CyberHubPodcast.com, 25 years of Putin's leadership that I did back in December of last year. The longest serving public leader, I think, outside of Erdogan and Netanyahu, and then all the monarchs, obviously, and all over the world, but really in kind of an election type of system. Well, this denial of service attack kind of disrupted the voting a little bit, but all that's going to do is it's going to say Putin's going to be all right, go back to paper. Go back to paper. And so you kind of played your cards out. You're disrupting it. You're saying it's illegal. I get it. It's emotional. It's all of that, but they're calling on people not to recognize the results. It's kind of like the UN recognizing a Palestine. It means nothing. The results here mean nothing because at the end of the day, this war is going to come to an end. And there will be some sort of negotiated settlement between Russia and Ukraine. This war is not going to last for another decade. I hope not. I pray it won't. The loss of life, the impact on people's lives, the generations growing up in that, no one wants that, right? And I don't think Russia wants that, and Putin ain't living forever. He's not going to live forever. So what we're seeing here is kind of like a tit for tat from the Ukraine, saying we disrupted it and all of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, our friends in the Ukraine, and I have a lot of friends in the Ukraine and I've spent some time in the Ukraine. So I say this with the utmost love. Our focus should be in ending the war with Russia. It should be in isolating Russia even further. Hopefully President Trump's able to do that. The West is able to do that. Europe and NATO are able to do that. This war needs to come to an end, and Putin needs to go away. It's really that simple. Two things can be true simultaneously. This is just kind of like a pat on the chest. We disrupted their election systems for a little bit. However, at the end of the day, the war needs to come to an end. So we'll just put it there. All right, we're going to move to China. So a massive data breach is exposing the inner workings of China's internet censorship system, with 500 gigabytes worth of sensitive documents from the Great Firewall of China being leaked online last week on September 11th. This represents the largest leak of internal GFW documents in history, providing unprecedented insights into China's digital surveillance apparatus. This is the website right here. It's available in the show notes. So if you want to go digging through this, you can. It talks about the forces, the core technical force behind the Great Firewall, like the GIG Networks, whose chief scientist is Feng Bianjian, and the MESA lab at the Institute of Information in Engineering and Chinese Academy of Sciences. The documents show that the company not only provides services to the government in places like Jiaxing, Jiangsu, and Fujian, but also export censorship and surveillance technology to countries like Myanmar, Pakistan, Ethiopia, Kazakhstan, and other unidentified countries under the Belt and Road Framework. So understand, as this gets exported, the lack of freedom of speech and the lack of information creates these bubbles. So the leaked files total around 600 gigabytes. Is an archive. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, folks. Like, I was going through it, getting ready for the show, and there is so much in here. There's so much about understanding how they operate the firewall, and so forth. So take the operational precautions. If you're going to do that, do it in a VM. Consider analyzing them without internet access. The Chinese could have and could see the stuff back there. That's what I did. I operated behind a VM looking at these files, but these files date back to 2012 and go all the way to 2018. So it'll give you some insights into their modus operandi and that timeline as well. So something very, very worthwhile taking a look at. You can do analysis of some of the source code files. Again, this link is available in the show notes. Go check it out. China's top internet regulators also rolling out new rules for rapid reporting of cybersecurity breaches and major incidents involving critical information infrastructure. Networks operators must report particularly serious cybersecurity incidents within an hour to relevant authorities, according to a draft regulation announced by the Cyberspace Administration of China on Monday. The measure is due to take effect on November 1st. See, that's the beauty of a dictatorship, of a communist regime. They just draw something up. They don't give industry time to feedback on it. This is what it will be. Within an hour, you will report this. And here's what this tells me. Let's go beyond this. China's getting hit, and they're getting hit significantly to the point where now they're forcing people to report within an hour. They're forcing people to report within an hour. That means that our NSA, potentially, our CIA, potentially, foreign forces are hitting China hard to the point where China's like, all right, we've got to get this stuff under control. We want to know within an hour. We want to be able to get involved within an hour. We want to operate. Yesterday on the show, we talked about the offensive cyber strategy that the NSC wants to take, the National Security Council and the Trump administration wants to take against adversaries. Could it be already in play, just not officially announced? Could it be a under-the-table bargaining chip? Kind of very similar, like China says every time they hack something and go, we haven't seen any evidence to prove that we did it, and we condone any cyberspace activity and urge everyone to act responsibly. That's the China statement to the Western media. But China doesn't have the same freedom of speech and freedom of information that we have in the Western civilized world. And so in the Western civilized world, we're noticing everything because our governments have a duty to us as the taxpayers to notify us of when they fail at their missions, when they fail at protecting specific aspects of our lives or within government. So every time there's a breach, we're well aware of it. Laws dictate that. Their own laws against themselves also dictate that. In China, that's not the case. They're stipulating that any interruption that are likely to last more than 24 hours because of the attacks or failures, or 6 hours in the case of an entire critical information infrastructure, or if the service's main function could be out of action for more than 24 hours, they have to report it within the hour. Now, if you've ever been part of an event, within the first hour, the last person you want to call is your regulator. You're typically calling your IR team, your forensics, your third-party providers, your incident response team. You're getting your business unit all in play. The last thing you want to do is call your regulator. That's why the SEC rule says report to the SEC file within 4 days. That's why in other cases, it's 30 days or when convenient or as early as you can, but not to exceed a specific time. The only way you add this much more stress to an event is because you're getting hit hard and you're trying to get it under control. That could be the case in China. Wouldn't be far-fetched. Their economy's bleeding. They're losing grip, right? And so easy to see this being the case in China. But that's not the only thing. Chinese-speaking users are a target of an SEO poisoning campaign that uses fake software sites to distribute malware. The attackers are manipulating search ranking with SEO plugins and registered lookalike domains that closely mimicked legitimate software site, according to 40 Guards Labs researcher Pai Han Liao, saying by using convincing language and small character substitutions, they're tricking victims into visiting spoofed pages and downloading malware. The activity was discovered by the company in August of this year and leads to the deployment of a malware families like Hidden Ghost and WinOS, both of which are variant remote access Trojans from Ghost RAT. It's worth noting that the use of WinOS has been attributed to Silver Fox, which is also tracked as, Swim Snake. It's been around since 2022, because I thought we agreed like a year and a half ago that we were going to pick one name. Why are we still using 7? My rant is over. In the latest attack chain documented by Fortinet, users searching for tools like DeepL Translate, Google Chrome, Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp, or WPS Office on Google are redirected to bogus sites to trigger the delivery of malware using Trojanized installer. So there's an installer DLL, which is a malicious one that carries out several anti-analysis checks to sidestep detection, including extracting another DLL to overwhelm analysis tools by inflating memory usage and slowing their performance. The second DLL is also engineered to unpack and launch the main payload, but not before ascertaining the presence of the 360 total security antivirus software on the compromised host. And if present, the malware uses a technique called type libcom hijacking to set up persistence and ultimately launch a Windows executable. It then communicates, it sideloads more stuff, and then it does 3 key functions: a command and control, establishing communication, heartbeat to collect system and victim data, and monitor evaluating the environment to confirm persistence, track user activity, and beacon to the C2. Because it's been targeting Chinese-speaking users, it's not being attributed to China, obviously, but someone else, and that could explain to you why China wants to know within an hour of any disruptions. I'll just leave it at that. There's that. But more on China. A China-based company has attracted nearly 11,000 downloads of a Python-based package index, so in PyPy or PyPy or whatever people call it. It's a new AI-powered pen testing tool linked to this Chinese company, raising concerns that it could be repurposed by criminals for malicious purposes. It's dubbed the Villager. The framework is assessed by the work of CyberSpike, which positioned the tools as a red teaming solution to automate testing workflows. The package was first uploaded in late July 2025 by a user named StupidFish001, a former capture the flag player for the Chinese HSC SEC team. The rapid publicly available and automation capabilities create a realistic risk that villagers will follow the Cobalt Strike trajectory, commercially or legitimately developed tooling becoming widely adopted by threat actors for a malicious campaign, according to Dan Regalado and Amanda Russo in a report shared with our friends over at the Hacker News. The emergence comes shortly after Checkpoint revealed that threat actors are attempting to leverage another NASA AI-assisted offensive tool called Hex Strike AI to exploit recently disclosed security flaws. We talked about that on the show last week. So all in all, we're seeing these AI tools being put out and being downloaded in the thousands, 11,000 downloads for this, and potentially being used for malicious purposes. So something to keep in mind. And now, folks, to pay the bills, our friends from ThreatLocker. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Worry no more. You can harden your security with our friends at ThreatLocker. Imagine taking a proactive, deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity, blocking every action, process, and user unless specifically authorized by your team. ThreatLocker helps you do this and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based support team. Stop the exploitation of trusted applications within your organization to keep you running efficiently and secure, protected from ransomware. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance for your organization, visit threatlocker.com/cyberhub. That's threatlocker.com/cyberhub. All right, thanks to our friend at ThreatLocker.
There is a security breach.
There is a security breach. All right, here we go. FinWise Bank, a Utah-based provider of fintech solutions and banking services, is informing the Maine Attorney General on behalf of a payment solution provider, American First Finance, that a data breach discovered late last year has impacted 689,000 individuals across the country. The incident involved a former FinWise employee accessing data after their employment ended. No additional details were shared, but a notification sent out to impacted individuals suggested a former employee accessed AFF data, specifically personal information. FinWise contracts with AFF to offer installment loans to consumers. In this arrangement, FinWise is the lender and AFF is the technology provider. FinWise originates the loans and provide funds to the consumer. AFF is contracted to provide the application platform, facilitate the loan origination for FinWise, as well as service the loan on behalf of FinWise. So it's unclear if the former FinWise employee accessed other data than one belonging to AFF. It's unclear whether the former employee acted maliciously or it was just negligent, and that's why they're informing it, just to be safe. Either way, they're given 12 months of free credit monitoring. Google confirming that an attacker hacked and created a fraudulent account in their law enforcement request system platform that law enforcement uses to submit official data requests to the company. They've identified a fraudulent account that was created in our system for law enforcement requests, and that account was disabled. No request remained with the fraudulent account and no data was accessed, but they found it there. The FBI is investigating and declined to comment on this thing. The attackers' claims raised concerns as both LARS and the FBI e-check system are used by police and intelligence agencies worldwide to submit subpoenas, court orders, and emergency disclosure requests. Unauthorized access would allow attackers to impersonate law enforcement, gain access to this type of data, which could potentially hinder prosecution or even destroy evidence. All in all, at this point, nothing is known. The Uvalde School District says ransomware attack is shutting down school until Thursday of this week. This is Uvalde, Texas, and you're right. It was the one of the school there was home to a school shooting in 2022 that led to the death of 19 students and 2 teachers. Robb Elementary was eventually demolished, but the district now, just a few years later, can't seem to recover. A cyber attack now leaving students out of school, and the days will be swapped with other non-working days on the school calendar as the school district attempts to recover. And again, this is a constant trend in our country. School districts becoming victims of these types of cybersecurity incidents. This is where federal and state government need to partner together to address this issue. Our kids aren't up for sale. Their education is not up for sale. Cutting corners in ensuring that if you're going to introduce technology into the school system, that the school system should be able to defend that technology and build resilience. What are we teaching our kids when the schools that are supposed to be giving them that education can't even build enough resilience to deal with a cyber attack, can't even revert to getting kids back into school while they work on the issue? And this is a nationwide problem. We're not singling out Uvalde, Texas. It's everywhere. And it's something we ought to address. And I hope CISA takes a lead with the Department of Education to take care of that. We continue with a threat actor named White Cobra targeting VS Code, Cursor, and Windsurf users by planning 24 malicious extensions in the Visual Studio Marketplace and Open VSX registry. The campaign is ongoing as the threat actor continuously uploads new malicious code to replace the extensions that are being removed. In a public post, core Ethereum developer Zach Cole described how his wallet was drained after using a seemingly legitimate extension for Cursor code editor. These attacks are targeting people to drain their crypto wallets. White Cobra is the same group responsible for the $500,000 crypto theft in July through a fake extension for the Cursor editor, according to endpoint service security provider Koi. And Koi discovered that the following extensions are part of the latest White Cobra campaign. You can see them here on your screen. We'll put them on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com for those listening, so you can go check them out there. Wallet draining starts with the execution of the main file that is nearly identical to the default Hello World boilerplate that comes with every VS Code extension template. However, there's a simple call that defers execution to a secondary script. The next stage payload is downloaded from Cloudflare Pages. The payload is platform specific when available versions for Windows, macOS, or ARM, and macOS on Intel. On Windows, a PowerShell script executes a Python script that executes shellcode to run the Luma Stealer. Luma Stealer has been around for a while. It is a very, very effective tool. No surprise it's being used by White Cobra. The criminals define revenue targets between 10,000 and 500,000, provide a command to infrastructure setup guides, and describe social engineering and marketing promotion strategies. This confirms that the threat group operates in an organized fashion, not deterred by exposure or takedown. Again, it's there. And finally, the Pentagon will soon be issuing more details on its much hyped effort to blow up the risk management framework used to accredit software. Katie Arrington, the interim chief information security officer until Kirsten gets confirmed, said the DoD will unveil the 10 commandments of the new RMF in the next couple of weeks. DoD's work to revamp how it accredits software has been a top discussion point in federal technology circles in recent months. It's the 10 tenets of the new RMF. Talking at the Billington Cyber Summit on Thursday, the tenets will include continuous monitoring relooking at what cybersecurity service providers' definition and training and education is, using continuous authority to operate, not waiting for the 2-year valley of death that we go through. Arrington saying that the department will release this revamped DoD instructions on cybersecurity. The current instruction, DoD I-8500, was last updated in 2019. It sets out the risk management policies that DoD organization used to evaluate and manage software security risks. So this is going, and this is also under part of the revamp under the Software Fast Track Initiative that Secretary of War Hegseth kind of is pushing out there to effectively enhance the way DoD operates, or DOW operates now in the space. So there's all of that. Show's a little bit over, but when you have a full day like this, it's bound to happen. Go check out cyberhubpodcast.com for all the latest. Check out our YouTube channel, our website, and anywhere else you want to get content. But cyberhubpodcast.com is really the main. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, and share. I can't talk anymore today, and it's only 9:21 in the morning. Until then, have a great rest of your day, y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and most importantly, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.